Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Thira Panachari. Jamuna Thira Panachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Thira Panachari. Jamuna Thira Panachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Gyantimidandasya Gyananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Gurun Sri Jutha Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Raghunathan Bidam Tham Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahakana Lalita Sri Vishakan Bitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare I am very grateful to be with you this evening. Thank you very much for being here. Today, at our ashram, we are
celebrating a very special festival. Two very special festivals. One is to celebrate your arrival. And also, today is the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, who is the guru of our beloved spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. With your permission, I'd like to speak a few words on this subject. Ramdas Prabhu, you should give the lecture. Please come in, come in. Wonderful to see you. In fact, my dear friend Ramdas Prabhu, who is the founder of Mandala Publications and Palace Press, he has published a beautiful, beautiful book on the life and the teachings of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One of the most precious contributions of our parampara. We thank you very much for that. Just a couple weeks ago, I was in Calcutta and visited a very old building. The address is 1 Oltadonga Junction Road. And it was at that place that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur began his efforts of reaching the world with the message of pure love of God as taught and inspired by Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, according to the great Vedic scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, and other Puranas and Upanishads, was predicted over 5,000 years ago as the particular avatar or incarnation of the Supreme Lord in this age of Kali. How he would inaugurate the Yuga Dharma, or the method by which anyone or everyone can achieve the highest perfection of spiritual revelation, prema bhakti, or pure love for God and all living beings, through the process of purifying our heart by chanting the holy names. Nam namakari bahudan nija sarva shaktis. The Lord composed this verse with his own hands and spoke it with his own mouth, that the absolute truth has many names. And in all of those names, the Lord has impregnated all divine potencies. In fact, Radha and Krishna, or the Supreme Lord, are personally present within all of those names. And then he taught us the method in which we can access the power and the blessing of God's holy names with the next verse. Trinadapi sunichena turor ibasihishnuna. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That one should feel oneself more humble than the blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. One should be eager to offer all respect to all living beings and not expect respect for oneself. In this mood, our heart is receptive to access the ecstatic blessings of the holy name. In Param Dristvani Vartate. In that state, we experience such a higher taste, such a divine spiritual experience, that we naturally, spontaneously chant the holy names constantly within our hearts. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He was born in the second part of the 19th century in Jagannath Puri, which is one of the holiest of all holy places in India. His father was Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was a grihasta with a wife, Bhagavati Devi, and 10 children. He worked at that time when India was under the British regime as a magistrate. And he was stationed for some time in Puri, where he was in charge of the whole temple. And 6 months after Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared in this world, the Ratha Yatra took place. And the chariot, do all of you know what is Ratha Yatra? There's 3 gigantic chariots. We have it every year in New York, but the chariots are at least 20 times bigger in Puri, because the whole road was made only for those chariots, thousands of years ago. The chariots stopped right in front of Bhakti Vinod Thakur's house, which is right on the road. And Jagannath would not allow the chariot to move for 3 full days. In Puri, they have a very spontaneous way of serving Lord Jagannath. If you ask them, what time is Mangal Arti? If you ask it at one of our temples in New York, they will say 4 o'clock sharp, something like, or 4:30. But in Puri, you ask the pujaris, priests, what time is Mangal Arti? And they say, whenever Jagannath wakes up. And you ask, when will the lunch offering be? When will the prasad be for the lunch Raj Bhog offering? And they say, whenever Jagannath eats. So everything's very spontaneous. So Jagannath, they were trying to pull the ropes, and the chariot would not move. Millions of people, hundreds and thousands of people, over 1 million every year come. And they're pulling those, 4 ropes for each chariot. Each rope is this big, and it's about a block long. And Jagannath didn't want to move. 3 days. That was the house that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was born. So Bhakti Vinod and his wife brought the little child out and brought him onto the chariot. And the little 6-month-old baby touched the feet of Jagannath. And right when he did that, a garland fell off Jagannath's body and encircled the little baby. And then Bhakti Vinod gave the first grains, the Annaprasna, right there on the chariot of Jagannath. A few months later, they moved to Bengal. And from his very birth, he exhibited divine, extraordinary qualities. We can speak about them for many hours, but we only have a few minutes. Our beloved Gurudev would often tell a story. Many of you have heard it, but Prabhupada would tell it on almost every occasion of the appearance or disappearance days of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, because it just showed what type of human being he was. How an acharya who is very great feels themselves to be very small. And that's actually what their greatness is. When he was just about 3 or 4 years old, he ate a mango. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his father, said, that mango was not offered to Krishna. You should only eat food after it's offered to Krishna. That's all his father said. And the little child felt that he had done something so wrong that he vowed never to eat a mango again. And Prabhupada said throughout his life, he never touched a mango. And in Bengal, during the mango season, people go to Bengal just to eat mangoes. The most luscious, delicious, wonderful fruits are the fresh Bengal mangoes. So therefore, it's the tradition, when you go to a saintly person, you present the gift of mangoes. So he was always getting mangoes. And every time anyone would offer him a mango, he would say, no, no, I am an offender. I cannot eat them. And our Srila Prabhupada explains that an acharya or a true spiritual teacher is one who teaches by example. Now in the West, someone may think that how could he be living in guilt for so many years? Is that not harmful to one's psychological, emotional state? It was not a question of living in guilt. It was his very deep sense of humility. That God is the supreme enjoyer, and I am the humble servant of the servant of the servant. This was his spirit. When he first met his Guru Dev, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, I believe it was in 1898. It was at Bhakti Vinod Thakur's house in Godram Dweep. He saw the humility, the detachment of this apparently homeless saint who just wandered around. And when he heard Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj sing Kirtan, the emotion and the love of his singing so much captured Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's heart. He had very deep love and affection for him. And with his father's inspiration and blessings, he asked Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj for initiation. But Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, the first time, he said, I've never accepted any disciples. I have no intention to accept any disciples. Let me ask Lord Chaitanya and see what he says. Sometime later, he came back to Bhakti, to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And with great humility, he appealed, will you accept me as your disciple? And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he said, when I met Lord Chaitanya, I forgot to ask him. So he came again and again for a couple years. Not pushing, but pleading. Now, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was such a scholar. By the time he was 5 years old, he memorized the whole Bhagavad Gita. People used to call him a living, walking encyclopedia. He would read, when he was in a Sanskrit school, he read the entire library, and he practically memorized every book. He was such a scholar. When he was just a teenager, he was in great debates, and he was unconquerable. But yet with such devotion. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he presented himself to be illiterate. He said to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, it is no qualification to be a great scholar. It is no great qualification to be very learned. All that matters is sincere devotion. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur showed such determination in such a humble and gentle way that ultimately Gaur Kishore Das Babaji in the year 1900 initiated him. At one time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in Mayapur Dham, he vowed to chant 1 billion names of Krishna. For several years, he sat in a lonely place in a rice paddy field, practically, chanting 300,000 names, 192 rounds, every day, year after year, and completed his vow. In the meanwhile, so many people were coming to him because they saw his compassion. And they were pleading with him. Bring your message to the world. So he left that beautiful holy place of Mayapur to go to Calcutta. And there he began his first Gaudiya Math, his first ashram. In 1922, Srila Prabhupada tells a story. He was a young man, 25. He was recently just married, had his first child, and was a very sincere and determined follower of Mahatma Gandhi. Prabhupada tells a story that he was going to university, but at that time, Gandhiji, he ordered his followers, if you're going to university, quit the university. Whatever studies you've done, reject any degrees. His reasoning, because the universities were run by the British, and he wanted all of his followers to boycott the British-run educational system. Now, this is a very serious commitment. You're going to college for years, working hard for a degree, and you just reject what your future will be. Prabhupada explained, like many thousands of other young people, I rejected the college and my degree. So he was very dedicated to Gandhiji. One day his friend Narendra Malik said, there is a very exalted, saintly person who is nearby. I want you to come to meet him. Our Srila Prabhupada said, I've seen so many so-called saintly persons. They come to my father's house all the time. I'm not interested. Because as a follower of Gandhi, he was a nationalist. And young people in those days who were nationalists considered saintly persons to be just slowing down progress. And besides, he saw so much hypocrisy and so much mediocre behavior, or less than that. He said, no, I will not go. The Prabhupada said, my friend, his very dear friend, he forced him to go. At that time, Prabhupada had a very high-paying position as the manager of the Bose laboratories. Kartik Chandra Bose was the pioneer of the pharmaceutical industry in all of India. He was one of the first persons to actually establish industry within India. And Prabhupada, as a follower of Gandhi, only wore khadi, which is just very simple cotton, by home spinning wheels. Because all the cloth in all the markets in India were run by the British. So Gandhi made it. He gave his order, don't buy any British cloths, only homespun Indian-made cloth. So Prabhupada said that Kartik Chandra Bose told him, he said, the only thing I like about Gandhi's movement is this wearing of homespun cloth. Because it will give incentive to Indians to start their own industry of spinning cloth. So at Ultadanga Junction Road, Prabhupada climbed up the staircase, 2 stories, and went to the rooftop. And there, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was sitting on a simple seat, speaking on Chaitanya Charitamrita. Our Prabhupada bowed down to him, as is the etiquette. And before he could even get up, the person sitting on the seat gave him an order. You are an intelligent young man. You should share this message of Lord Chaitanya and the teachings of the Gita in the English language all over the world. Our Prabhupada looked at him and said, how can we spread this message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world when we're still a dependent nation under the subjugation of the British? Our nation has no integrity within the world as long as we're just a colony. First, we must gain independence. Then people will take our message seriously. It's a good challenge, yes? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati didn't think so. He was very strong, but very, very compassionate. He said, political parties are changing all the time. But there is one eternal truth. That eternal flow of truth is that we are eternal souls, beyond birth and beyond death. And we have an everlasting relationship with God. And because we have forgotten that, all the miseries of material life are subjugating us. Truth is eternal. Truth is not dependent on one nation or one political party or any material condition. It is for the want of this truth that there is so much conflict, hatred, suffering, and war within this world. We cannot wait for anything. This truth must be given to the world now. And our Prabhupada told us so many years later, so many times, I was happy to be defeated by my Guru Maharaj. And at that time he accepted him as his Gurudev. And the seed was planted within his heart, which was later to sprout, to blossom, and to flower into Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service, spreading to every major continent on the planet, reaching tens and millions of people's hearts. Srila Prabhupada explained how just a couple months after that, he was stationed in Allahabad, which is a city several hundred miles from Calcutta. And for the next 5 years, he didn't see any of the followers of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. But then there was a Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is the largest religious gathering, perhaps the largest gathering on earth. Average 10 to 20 million people gather in one place at the confluence of the river Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So some disciples of Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada came and they heard that there's a very pious religious man who's running a pharmacy here in Allahabad. So they went to him, and as soon as Prabhupada saw the followers of his Gurudev, he was so happy, and he helped them in every way. It was 11 years later that Srila Prabhupada took initiation from his spiritual master. He explained that in his heart, he accepted initiation on their first meeting on that rooftop. I'm very happy to inform you that just a few months ago, that rooftop and the building under it was given to our devotees. So if you go to Calcutta, you can visit. It's very. In fact, I was just there with Sripad Bodhayan Maharaj, dear friend of Ramdas Prabhu, and we couldn't go to the rooftop in the building itself because it's complicated trying to explain the way India is. But you can own a building and not have access to the building you own. Because there's other tenants occupying it. So we own the building, but there are other tenants who have all rights. But they will go eventually. So the tenants weren't home and the doors were locked, so we went to a nearby building, just next to it, and we went up the steps and we looked down and we saw the beautiful trees all around this beautiful rooftop. And we're meditating on how Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati for years gave classes every evening there. And how all his intimate most disciples would be gathered around him, hearing, asking questions, getting directions. And it was there that that seed was planted in our Prabhupada's heart. That was our qualification to receive pure bhakti for many of us. So although he accepted him in his heart, 11 years passed, and he meditated on that instruction. He was chanting the holy names and was very, very eager. But he had a family, and he was very responsible to do so. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent people overseas. In fact, just recently, I saw a personal handwritten diary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I touched it. It's about this big. It was really an old-fashioned British type of binding on it. It's just paper, and he would just write notes and write notes and write notes. It's beautiful just to see and to read what he was thinking and how he was thinking. He was always thinking of how to somehow or other reach people's hearts with Krishna's message. And I saw a letter he wrote to one of his disciples who went to London. While there he met the Queen, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote to this disciple. He said, what proud glory that Lord Chaitanya's message is there in London. He said, all of our great acharyas in our disciplic succession, they are all profusely showering blessings upon you because you have brought the message of Lord Chaitanya to be propagated on the holy banks of the sacred river Thames. He had such a vision. And the instructions he gave of how to teach bhakti were so beautiful. He was explaining, when you approach these people, you should put straw between your teeth, which is symbolic of being very humble. You should not demand or expect any respect for yourself, but offer them all respect. Never think that you're better than anyone. As a humble servant of all these people, share with them this great message that will be for the greatest benefit for them and their society. This was the spirit. He started over 64 temples in India. He had printing presses going 24 hours a day. He translated, composed, wrote dozens and dozens and dozens of books. He had a daily newspaper of spiritual subjects. One time somebody challenged him, how can you have so many things to talk about? Spiritual newspaper? A daily newspaper? Where do you get, don't you run out of things to say? He replied that this planet, Earth, is just one little speck in our universe. This universe is just a speck in the cosmic manifestation. And in the entire cosmic manifestation is hardly a tiny portion compared to the spiritual world. The spiritual world is unlimited. Now, any city in this little speck-like planet Earth has at least 1 to 3 or 4 newspapers. Daily newspapers. If there's that much news in one little city, how much news is there in this spiritual world? He said we can write papers unlimitedly forever and never even touch the surface of all that is to be said. And he did it. Yes. He attracted magnificent, sincere, dedicated souls to help him. One man, he was a grihasta, businessman. He was so attracted by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mission. He saw that they were just living in this little house at Ultadanga Junction Road. Now, we were so eager to get it, but they were so eager to get out of it and have something better, because it was very small. You'll see when you come. So this man, by his own inspiration, decided to build a beautiful marble temple in the Bagh Bazaar. Single-handedly. He exhausted his entire life savings, everything, and built this, supervised the construction. By the time he finished building it, he had nothing left for himself. And he was completely happy. He just asked, he asked his Gurudev, is it possible I could have a little floor space to sleep in your temple? And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, wherever he went, so many times, he would extol the sincere dedication of this person. Grihe tako bane tako sada hari bole tako. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.